must complete, but his brother cuts him off with a fire blast and points out that the old-timer has retired. They have no place for someone who can't use magic in this new Demon King's regime. As part of his cloak burns, he extinguishes it before officially announcing his departure. Since ancient times, demonic beings have always clashed with humans, but both species look identical, so the only way of differentiating between the two is that demons can use magic. This guy can't use magic despite belonging to the demons. As he leaves the HQ, one of his commanders tries to tease him for being the weakest, but he just walks off into the world. Some time has passed since his dismissal, and Daryl aimlessly wanders around the forest trying to figure out what to do with his life now. He's been serving in the Demon King's army for all 32 years of his life and wonders if he can even start a new life. His face is sunken from hunger and his stomach rumbles because he has not eaten since he has been kicked out. Daryl collapses to the ground from exhaustion and frustration when Marika's scream draws his attention toward the cliff. Suddenly, she emerges from the bushes and jumps over him as their eyes lock together. Not long after her appearance, a beastly roar follows as a giant silver monkey shoots out and attacks her. Daryl deduces that she's being chased. As the monkey prepares to finish her off, he dashes in between her and the blow to block it. He orders her to move out of harm's way. As the beast retreats momentarily, the unemployed guy struggles to recover because he's hungry, but he feels like a soldier must reassure a woman who's in danger. As they square up, Daryl starts speculating on how if it was a proper demon in his position, they would have defeated it with ease. He is compelled to attack without powers as he rushes towards the monster hoping to fight it with melee-style combat, but the hunger strikes again as his legs gives out. This gives the monkey a clear opening to land a devastating blow that sends the disgraced knight flying. He lands near Marika's scattered belongings where he glances over and spots a dagger. The washed-up soldier hesitates to use the human weapon as it's a big shame for a demon soldier to do so. He quickly rethinks that stance given his situation and grabs the dagger ready to attack, but he struggles to find the right way to wield the weapon as he changes his position. The giant monkey is not there to play games, so it lunges forward to finish him off, but Daryl braces himself and thrusts the blade into the section of the monster's chest that already had a scar. His teacher is definitely Rorinoa Zoro. Shout out to the Moss Head. Marika gasps in shock as the monkey crashes to the ground dead. Daryl states that he just imitated a hero he saw in the past and is surprised that it worked so smoothly. He wipes the blood off his face when Marika interrupts and formally thanks him for helping her. She compliments Daryl by comparing him to the strongest hero of all time. But that confuses the ex-soldier as demons can't be heroes. With the monster dead, she calmly packs her things back into her bag. Daryl tries to leave the situation before things get troublesome, but Marika grabs him by his cloak, which chokes him as she pleads for him to hold on. She invites him to her village so that she can thank him properly by treating him to a delicious meal. The thought of food makes him pause his struggle, and his stomach also rumbles loudly to prevent his mouth from lying about not being hungry. Marika takes his singing stomach as a yes as she drags him along. They finally arrive at her hometown of Locke's village. The young lady takes him to her house where he's introduced to her mom and dad. Marika also formally introduces herself. Daryl is sure to commit their names to memory, but he's starting to get worried since he is in enemy territory. The guy suspects that they might kill him if they find out that he's a demon, so he reminds himself to tread lightly. Marika asks his reason for being in the forest, so he explains politically that he got fired from his job by the second generation of his employer. It was a job that provided him with accommodation, so he's homeless. She is already in tears listening to his story and offers that he stay in their village and even gives him a room in their house for him to lodge in since he's such a good person for saving her. Clearly she's fond of him. He thinks it's a bit too far as the promised meal should be more than enough for him, but she's adamant and even asks her dad for permission. He thinks about it for a moment before agreeing. The old-timer states that their village is lacking people, so having someone who can defeat monsters is very welcome. Internally, he feels like the family should be suspecting him more since he's a stranger. Marika takes his hands, pleading with him to stay, but Daryl is conflicted because they are enemies, so he's wary in case his cover gets blown. But after one look at Marika, he decides to take the risk and stay by accepting the offer like a gentleman. His stomach rumbles again, so he pleads for them to bring him some food before they finalize everything. That night, he lies in bed thinking about his new environment and compares his current room to the grand room he had back in the Demon King's castle. His thoughts are interrupted by Marika, who knocks on his door and thanks him again for saving her. She's used to many people relying on her, so it was nice to be saved for a change. After her speech, she bids him good night and rushes off to bed. Meanwhile, Dariel ponders on how strange it is for a demon to save a human girl. The following morning, Marika's father alerts the newcomer that he has a job for him. He's more than willing to help with anything. Emil reveals that he's the guild master of the village. So he wants Dariel to be an adventurer and shows him a seal on his hand. The father explains that an adventurer is registered to the guild and their job is to defeat monsters and gather medicine and other items. Before he can finish explaining, Dariel cuts him off and asks if there aren't any other jobs he can do instead, like farming. Envil declines since he has a nice healthy body. He presents the guild registration form, which is what Dariel was dreading. It is a ritual only humans can pass, so he pretends to be injured to dodge the registration, otherwise they will find out that he's a demon. Envil orders his daughter to help him. Dariel thinks that she is about to assist him with his back pain, but she pricks him with a needle which draws a little bit of blood. She guides his hand to the registration form. He starts to panic that his cover is going to get blown as the form starts to react to his blood. His body starts to feel hot as magic signs start to glow purple while covering him, but after a brief moment, it turns to yellow as it dissolves to create a seal on the back of his hand. Dariel is shocked because he was raised by demons for his whole life, so he thought he was a demon, but he is actually a human. With the registration complete, Envil takes him outside to move on to the next phase of things. Before they start, Marika warns him that her father used to be an adventurer, so he should be careful. They look over to see him swinging a giant mallet skillfully. He first starts by explaining how to handle aura, which is a power all humans originally possess. Adventurers can wear their aura on their armor and fight. He prompts him to pick any weapon he pleases, so he goes for the sword. While holding it, he feels the aura coming out of his body as he thinks back to how his adopted father taught him how to do mental training to be aware of one's mana. But he didn't feel anything back then. The father and daughter watch on impressed that he was able to manifest his auras so quickly. With that stage passed, they move on to find out what type he is. The old-timer informs him that there are 4 types of application of aura, which are slash, sting, hit, and block. An adventurer's affinity to one will determine which weapon they should carry. They start by testing his compatibility with the slash test. Ironically, this is his first time holding a sword since he only worked as an assistant while in the Demon King's army. He looks over to Marika, who gives him some encouragement before he takes a swing. Envil assures him that it is not a must for him to split the tree trunk in 2. Even if his sword gets halfway through, it would indicate that his strongest type would be slash. Dariel closes his eyes and takes a swing with decent technique and cuts the tree trunk in 2 with ease to his and everyone's surprise. He feels the power of aura rushing through his body. To his and everyone's surprise. He feels the power of aura rushing through his body. They move on to testing his affinity with sting by archery. He's to try and hit the apple from distance, so he releases the arrow and the power behind it blows away the apple along with the trees behind. Envil watches on in disbelief as he wipes his eyes while his mouth is wide open. Marika gives him a hug for hitting the apple the first time. Envil is shocked to see someone blessed with affinity to 2 types. He praises Dariel, but the old-timer is a bit salty as he clenches his teeth together in frustration. The next test is hit, so with the giant mallet, he easily destroys the boulder and even knocks the guild master back. Marika's father lays on the floor crying out of jealousy that he also has an affinity to that. In his 30 years as an adventurer, he has never seen anyone like Dariel. Envil angrily orders Dariel to get a shield for the last test, which is block. The guildmaster sees this as an opportunity to take out his pent-up frustration at Dariel, so he decides to use an iron mallet to attack the young man. Dariel is a bit worried seeing this as he's holding a wooden shield, but before he can fully voice it out, Envil attacks with full strength as tears stream from his face, but Dariel blocks it and even sends the guildmaster flying back. With all the testing complete, Envil concludes that Dariel's aura fits every aspect perfectly, but the young man doesn't understand how rare it is. He explains that he has never seen anything like this before. Dariel finds all this strange because he couldn't use magic and he is used to being seen as weak. Envel informs him that he can go very far with his unique skills and feels that it would be selfish of them to keep someone so talented in this small village. He suggests that he joins the Center Guild, which is the top organization that every adventurer wants to join. He promises to give him a reference letter which would aid in his recruitment. Dariel looks over and sees that the thought of him leaving makes Marika sad, so he decides to stay and serve them since they gave him a place to live when he was homeless. This makes her so happy as she hugs him. Dariel looks on with excitement to start his second life. Envel gathers the rest of the villagers, and it is revealed that he's also the village chief. He officially introduces Dariel to everyone as their latest member of the village who will also be an adventurer, so if they have any problems, they are free to report it so that the newcomer can assist. The young man also does his introduction, and the people are happy with his politeness as they were worried since he was an outsider. Kushida heckles that he doesn't like the new guy. He feels like Dariel is too old to be an adventurer. This offends him a little as he doesn't feel like he's old. Envel orders him to stop being rude to his new comrade. It is revealed that Kushida is a D-rank adventurer. He looks down on Dariel when he finds out that he has the lowest rank, which is an E rank, so he mandates that Dariel shows him respect. Envel pleads for him to have patience and explains that Kushida is arrogant since he is the only adventurer in the village, so thinks he's doing a unique job. He later summons Dariel to the office and gives him a lot of requests that have come in to gather some herbs they have piled up because Kushida thinks he's too big to take them. The guild master warns him to be wary of a ferocious beast that his senior has been trying to take down for about half a month. He shows them the poster, and to their shock, it's the monkey he defeated earlier. Envel is even more surprised when they alert him. At a later date, when some adventurers come across the corpse of the monkey monster, Chief Envel gets a report which confirms Dariel's extermination. He stamps the contract as complete while he reprimands Kushida for